And welcome back to another GACC podcast where we're going to be discussing games, anime, computers, and collectibles, but not necessarily all those in 1 week. I'm still your host, Harrison, and to my left...
Hi, I'm Faust.
And to my right...
Jaime.
Jaime?
That's how you say James in Spanish.
I thought that was like something anime related, because we haven't covered anything like that for a while.
Ah, that's true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We do need to come up with some anime coverage.
Yeah, I know.
We're not this show, though.
We've been very dry for it. No, it's like E3 and everything else.
Yeah,
you know, it's like,
unfortunately, if you didn't,
You guys excited?
if you came here hear about anything other than video games,
We're sorry.
sorry, it's E3.
You guys excited for they say that they might have Borderlands 3 at the E3.
might.
There's
talk
rumblings.
about it.
There's still rumors,
Yeah.
but it's going to probably be a surprise reveal
Yeah.
if we do see anything Borderlands 3. Now, they did show off something before, but it was more of a tech demo of the new Unreal Engine with what they called assets that they had that was not an actual game.
Yeah.
So we didn't exactly see anything
Like
per
any
se.
hints of a game coming out.
Yeah.
But didn't they release another game recently that was too soon, and that's probably why they're delaying?
No, so they released Battleborn around the same
Battleborn.
time that Overwatch came out, and so it kind of ended up falling by the wayside. But in Battleborn, there are some Easter eggs that reveal information about Borderlands 3, and that there is and they have confirmed that there is a Borderlands 3 in development. But whether they're going to choose to concentrate on development and actually have a game ready before they reveal anything, or if they decide to reveal something to kind of garner interest, we'll see.
Isn't this really just Borderlands 4 at this point?
3, man.
No, this is actually it would be the fourth.
Is it? Because there's
chronological-
Borderlands 1, 2, and pre-sequel. Oh, yeah, I guess so.
So, yeah, 1, 2, the pre-sequel, which is supposed to fall between 1 and 2. Technically, you can also say it's probably the fifth game because there is the Tales from the Borderlands, the Telltale
true.
series,
That's true.
which does make some changes. Does
And it adds
advance
new characters.
Yeah, it does advance the canon, does establish new characters. So this could be seen as more like the fifth Borderlands game. But in story-wise or in progression-wise, this is supposed to be Borderlands 3. And there are a lot of rumors and speculation and everything like that, but we didn't come here to talk rumors and speculation. We came here to talk
Well, we talk
reveals
about
and-
rumors and speculation every week.
Okay, well then get this. How about this for a conspiracy theory? Do you know who's back in the news?
Adam West.
No, but rest in peace.
William Shatner.
Wish he'd rest in peace. The
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. That's harsh.
Hello Games
Ah,
is back in the news.
Yes.
No Man's Sky. Once we thought we'd be rid of them.
I'm done.
Yeah. They're back in the news because they released, actually, they disseminated or sent out several audio cassettes.
Like physical cassette.
Audio cassettes, numbered through up to 16. So far, only 7 at the last news thing that I viewed had been found and decoded. And what it is on one side there is music. On the other side is there's some what appears to be static, but it's actually one of those weird spectrographic images sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's a way of coding information into audio that used to be how they distributed video games way back when. But apparently the thing that they've been able to decode from these tapes that have been found is the word portal. So there's talk of maybe that there's going to be an update in No Man's Sky to something to do with portals, being able to move between planets and things like that. Now, they already do have a teleportation mechanic within the game that since the latest patch. You can actually teleport between your battleship, your main ship, and a planet's surface if you set it as a home planet and make a teleporter there.
But aren't there also wormholes in this universe, I thought?
No, not that I've been able to discover. But it's a huge universe. I mean, quintillion something or other.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
18 quintillion.
18 quintillion planets. Chances are there's probably something out there.
I want to see two ships collide together.
That would
A
be
portal.
nice.
That would be awesome.
So far as I know, with the battleships, it's just more of like another planet surface kind of. It's a place that you can go and sort of build up, and you have to buy this ship, which is massive amounts of money and stuff.
Can you make ships like that one game where they spent like millions of dollars on that making a ship and then?
Like EVE Online?
Yeah, that's the one. Did you?
I hope not.
That'd be kind of cool.
EVE Online's kind of another thing that has sort of got way out of control, and they're just kind of letting it.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a game. EVE,
That's not a game.
EVE Online
No, it's a
is-
video game.
EVE Online is a lifestyle choice.
Yeah. EVE Online, the worst part about it is you play the game by being offline. You log in, you start something building, and then you log off, and you wait for it to finish
Have
while
you
you're
played
logged
EVE
off.
Online?
I can neither confirm nor deny this.
I have
No comment.
This isn't politics.
I thought about
Have
checking
you
it out.
played the damn game?
I thought about checking it out, but it's so impenetrable to somebody who's just checking it out.
Yeah.
Like you really just have to dive in full force, or you're not going to get anywhere, and you're just going to end up
Gotcha,
wasting money. So before we get into actual E3 coverage, like all of this stuff is just sort of outside and around there. I do have to say, Apple did really do their WWDC keynote speech,
And they revealed the 10-year plan.
Yep. So they've revealed their direction coming up. One of the things that they put out there that's probably going to be a lot of industry buzz right now is they have released and revealed the iMac Pro.
Oh, is that the $5,000 machine
It's
that has like $1,000 CPU?
Baseline
$1,000
$5,000.
Yeah, $1,000 video card.
It's a Intel-based workstation PC. Workstation Mac, not a PC.
Yeah, it's not. Well, it has PC parts inside.
And it has PC parts inside of it. It runs the latest version of Mac OS, of course.
Cool.
They've been making a lot of improvements to High Sierra that they revealed during the keynote as well.
Okay.
But the big thing that they decided that they wanted to reveal was they
allow you to put a VM and put Windows on it so you can game.
Look, I don't care about this. I'm just trying to report the news, okay?
Sorry.
Because there's no way I'm dropping this much money on a machine that I don't have any hand in building.
Okay.
That's basically like where I come from. I like building PCs, so I like buying all the parts and putting them together like a Lego set.
Especially a machine you can't even really get into and do anything with.
Yeah. This is a workstation, which means that this is going to advance industry standards. So it bears mentioning that
Okay.
this is a super powerful workstation Mac, not a PC.
That's not shaped like a trash can.
No, it actually looks form factor and everything like that. They say that you can do. It has a main 4 or 5K display, and then you can hook up 2 further 4K displays and 2 RAID arrays to it, and so you can have this battle station of a workstation.
Cool.
And it's got all these really super advanced tech specs and everything like that. But basically, they showed it off at WWDC to be like, those people in the industry who want it, go ahead and get it. And then people who want to have way too much machine for themselves, they can drop $5,000 on one of these things. Now, they have expanded the MacBook line. They are still promoting the Air, so they're doing some improvements there as well.
Oh, wow.
And it's all about increasing graphical capability. They've been pushing a lot of graphical capability. The other thing that they've announced that I thought was interesting mentioning, it's pretty much the only thing I found interesting out of all of that, was that during the WWDC keynotes, they've really revealed that they are working with Steam to bring Steam VR to Mac OS.
That would be kind of cool.
So
Yeah, that's what they're trying to plant the seeds of the next technology within their current technology. And so they're talking about augmented reality platform, virtual reality development tools, the HomePod speakers, and improvements to iOS 11 on the iPad. But with all this, they're trying to use the current technology versus the Steve Jobs approach of, you don't know you need this yet.
Yeah. So they are basically putting out there saying we're working our way into the industry. We're finally taking our place as the industry leader after a little bit of recovery time and everything like that. And generally glad handing and gratifying themselves on stage. But other than that, it was an interesting thing to watch about 15 minutes of and see that big reveal. So that was the one thing I kind of kept watch of outside of the E3 things. Was there anything else, or should I just continue dominating the show?
With what?
You guys,
with wrestling? Because that's why every time you try to say that Apple Development Conference thing, I just start thinking
WWDC.
Yeah, WWE.
World Wrestling. District of Columbia.
Yes.
District of Columbia. Okay. Yeah. I thought it was cool. Lenovo's making their was it virtual keyboards on their laptops instead of like card keyboards on some of them.
Huh?
Virtual keyboards
On their touchscreen one, they have
so it's like typing on the screen. I hate
no,
that.
no, it's on the bottom part.
So you just have like a keyboard,
a virtual keyboard
emulated in front of your.
Instead of, I guess there's so you don't have to worry about cleaning it. So it has
That
the
makes
same touch
sense.
as a. I forget which lineup it is from Lenovo. I thought it was kind of cool.
Well, if people regularly wash their hands, they wouldn't have to clean their keyboards so much.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I've seen some nasty keyboards.
Yeah, usually it's the gamers with their Dorito chips.
No, that's not the ones I've seen. Where I work, I've seen some keyboards where I'm like, do you just shed every day? Do you just like walk in and all over your keyboard? And I'm like,
That's a keyboard that sees 8+ hours of use a day. Okay, of course you're going to see that.
They just walk in, take a cheese grater into their hand. It's just all over the keyboard.
It's amazing when people get to, when they're making 6+ figures, that they forget to do things like clean keyboards.
Yeah.
I know.
It's like, stuff needs to be washed, folks.
Because it's like, I need you to fix this. And I'm like,
So I always thought that they would be doing that, like an emulated keyboard where it was just sort of projected or in some way emulated in front of a screen, because they had that for the longest time. It's actually kind of a novelty thing you can buy pretty cheap these days.
Yeah, you can buy it on Newegg. Not
the laser
Newegg,
keyboard.
ThinkGeek. Yeah, it's a little laser keyboard and it pops out a virtual keyboard.
Like a Bluetooth keyboard.
Yeah, that's Bluetooth. That's for phones. That's what's cool.
Yeah. Now, from what I understand, the reason that these things are kind of like, varying is the response time that you get with these keyboards. So it's not something you want to get for like gaming or something.
Well, with the new Bluetooth 4.2, that wouldn't be a problem, because the new Bluetooth 4.2, you can actually go like 400 feet now, and it has like that download capability of like something like 2 to 5 megabytes per second.
See, I hear something like that. You can go 400 feet away from your device before the Bluetooth gives out, and it just means that it delays the time before you realize that your phone just got pickpocketed.
Right.
Because you're just sitting there like, da music, and all of a sudden, and you go to check your phone and it's gone.
My
There's
phone.
400 feet away now.
Right.
You're screwed.
I think it also has better response time too. So maybe with the new Bluetooth 4.2,
we'll see.
they might improve it.
Wired is still the speed of electricity, so
of course.
I mean, until they figure out a way to do that.
Heck, I can't use Bluetooth anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
There's a lot of things that we don't get to use at work.
Yeah, I can't use Bluetooth, so I can't take my smartwatch with me.
Bluetooth always kind of feels like a novelty to me.
No, it's not a novelty.
It's actually very useful.
Yeah, you're crazy.
Because I love my Bluetooth headphones.
Yeah.
Because when I jog, I take those with me. I don't have a wire, so I can try to kill myself while I'm jogging.
I won't say anything about like audio
Or drop my
fidelity
phone out
or
my
anything
pocket
like
because I'm like, huh, and there goes my phone.
I certainly have my share of Bluetooth headphones and Bluetooth connective stuff, like keyboards and mice and things like that.
The Bluetooth keyboards are
But
always nice.
It really just feels like it's just getting rid of the wires, but it's still creating like you need for batteries or need for charging or something.
Hey,
like
it's
that.
better than infrared.
It's true. Infrared was a very big.
Yeah, that was terrible.
That probably like created some blood pressure problems in a few people.
It did.
Yeah.
Especially when the original TiVo was like when it was a big thing when I worked for them.
So the other
that was lame.
the other thing I wanted to touch on was an interesting news story I found where they've done some research and everything, and apparently the big thing a couple of E3s ago that everybody got all up in arms about, backwards compatibility on the consoles when they were pushing out the current generation that's up now. Apparently users on the Xbox One and also on PC, as the news article established, don't really, for the fact that they have backwards compatibility, not really many of them use that feature.
It's amazing how much you'll bitch about something that you don't have, and then you have it, then you don't use it.
It's like, I want to go back and play all the games.
Well, because all the games they put on backwards compatibility are lame. They're not the good ones.
I think it's because the argument has shifted. It used to be that because they were pushing out this new generation, people wanted to know that they didn't have to rebuy their entire library, or that they could trade in their current console for a new one and still continue to play the games that they were currently playing. It wasn't about having this large library of games that they could continue to go back to, because, face it, folks, you don't go back and play video games once you're done with them.
Sometimes
you sell them, you give them up. You don't. I mean, unless you're really an avid collector, and that is a small percentage of the video game populace these days. People don't hold on to video games long enough to want to have a backwards compatible console. And the people who do have backwards compatibility of the Xbox 360 games that were given support on the Xbox One, of the millions of people that play Xbox One, only about 9 million minutes or something like that of backwards compatibility was utilized. Of backwards compatible games, and even then, those games, the ones that were played more often than not were Call of Duty and Modern Warfare.
But like I said, again, the lists that they made backwards compatibly were lame.
But
they're all lame games. If they were good games, I'm pretty sure they would play them more.
But what about Dead Red Redemption?
Red Dead Redemption was backwards compatible. Yeah.
What about
It sucked.
It was very obvious. It was very obvious that they were coming together with a list of backwards compatible games, and they wanted to go with their popular titles, but they wanted to do more than just their popular titles, and they didn't want to do every title, because a lot of those titles were developed and they don't really have control over porting them. The ones they do have control over porting are the lame games that come from like Xbox Live Arcade and the indie stuff that they were putting up there, because that's written for that platform. They can port it easily. They can emulate that easily, and it helps them flesh out this list so they can say, see, we're making backwards compatibility. It's there, because they ended up having to save a lot of face after that E3 thing where they were basically like, it's always online and we're always watching you and we're taking away your games.
Yeah, they caught a lot of flack.
That was a lot of flack.
But was it the Scorpios being shown and everything too? And I saw one interesting thing. It's like Xbox Scorpio is basically Microsoft's final form, which is a gaming PC.
Essentially, yeah. Go figure, that's what it took. I mean, they were already integrating PCs with the Xbox One to a point where they're almost functionally identical.
Look at the original Xbox. Historically, the original Xbox was a PC. It was running on a Celeron 900, processor. And using legitimate socket and everything like that. The problem is Microsoft at that time was underneath so much scrutiny for being a monopoly that they could not go into the actual hardware business and launch it as a PC, or else they feared that they would get considered, truly a monopoly. Versus, and that was what, 99? We are basically 17 years later. Microsoft's able to put out the Scorpio as basically a PC. They have all the Microsoft Studio PCs and everything else like that, and that's all fully integrated together, especially with the Scorpio, where you're going to be able to buy cross-platform games. We're going to be able to play it on the Windows 10 store, so they have their own store that's locked out from everything else, but you can play it on your Scorpio or your PC. And
which still has some of the gaming community up in arms, because we still remember games for Windows Live. We know what it's like when Microsoft tries to maintain some sort of, it's hard to say it any other way, some sort of DRM hold on the games that get put out on their platform.
Windows Live, I remember that.
Yeah, also known as the software that ruined every game that came out that year on PC. Yeah, basically.
You have to have a Windows Live account to play this game.
Yeah, or you can just go ahead and not sign in, and we won't save your game.
What was it? BioShock got ruined.
BioShock, Batman: Arkham Asylum,
Fallout,
Fallout 3.
Yep.
Yeah. Like these games would have had great support on the PC if it weren't for the fact that Microsoft was trying to push this whole social aspect of things.
Yeah, I didn't like that whole thing.
The thing is, Game for Windows Live kind of turned into the gamer tag thing, where they tried to just kind of combine all of the accounts. So you had the people with the Zune accounts, you had people with the Games for Windows Live accounts, you had people with Hotmail accounts, MSN accounts. Like all of this stuff kind of just got all jumbled up and then combined, and it all became your gamer tag, which then became your Microsoft account. With Windows 10. So, wow, guys, what a tap dance. Yeah. So now they have the Windows Store. They're actually releasing, they're talking about releasing versions of Windows that can only run applications from the store, that they will not actually run executables.
Which we saw in, what was it, Windows RT?
Yeah. Now it's going to be called Windows S. Or Windows 10S.
Is it Windows Special?
Yeah, Special is right.
I love when Microsoft is great at test bedding something.
Yeah.
And then seeing what was good about what was bad about it, and then making it right.
Yeah.
I mean, they, give them all the crap you want.
I'm not going to say they're doing it right until I can actually. I'm going to let I want to see the dust settle, and I can still go to my computer and boot up a video game and not have to go through a bunch of headache to play that video game. I like the way that it is now, where I open up Steam, I double click on an icon, and decide if I've set the launch options right, I'm in the game. I don't have to see some splash thing. I don't have to confirm my video settings for the 80th time. I don't have to sign into anything.
Says you, I'm used to that, because I have to record my damn PC, and every time I have to hook up a different monitor,
I don't know what I'm doing.
Like Overwatch comes back almost every time. It goes, oh, look at me, I'm in windowed mode versus full screen now. I'm like, screw you.
Mine does that too. Yeah.
Oh, it does that?
Yeah.
That's
like
the worst.
Now about why is this in window? No, I said full screen.
You want an exercise in frustration? Take a predominantly 1080p screen, like a predominantly 1080p PC, and hook up a 4K display to it as an extended display. because that's what I did. I have a 4K television. I hooked it up as an extended display. My the video software, NVIDIA Experience, does not know how to handle that. It keeps thinking that I want to be in their 4K emulated mode where they take the 4K and jump it back down to 1080p. And I've done some 4K gaming on my TV and I've been like, okay, well, this is somewhat prettier. And I'm glad I've got a very powerful system so I can do the 60 frames plus and still play the video games at 4K resolution. But in general, I mean, I'm used to 1080p and I don't exactly have the best vision possible. So it's kind of lost on me. Why don't you just stay in 1080p until I tell you to go to 4K? And that's if I actually get like a 4K video player or something like that.
Yeah, there's not as much of a jump from 1080p to 4K as there was from going from SD to HD.
Yeah, that was a major jump, and it's gotten to the point where you try to go back and watch SD stuff, and it's painful to watch. It's painful to go back and see things like watch a VHS. If you can actually pull together the equipment to do it, watch a VHS and see how far you make it through.
I can do it.
Yeah.
Back in his day.
Yeah. So the Xbox Scorpio, jumping way back off of that tangent, they did release some of the specs for the developer kit as part of the E3 reveal. So the higher specs than what the consumer version will have, featuring 4 more control units in the CPU, 12 gigabytes more RAM, and an additional 1 terabyte SSD within the system.
Nice.
Which helps developers make the games faster and then tune them down to what actually is going to be the production console's abilities. So it makes sense to give them a development environment that they can just sort of expand out into and then kind of chop back the chaff like that. It sort of is different, sort of a shift in game development in general, where what we were saying last show was that a lot of the games and the game consoles had limited development. They had to actually be creative to work within the constraints of those systems. Now we have a system that is actively not constraining itself until it comes to making things ready for production. So we're going to see how that ends up affecting things in game development, per se, I think. What I'm thinking what they're trying to do, and I've noticed this in general with the current generation of games and things like that, stuff like Watch Dogs and Horizon Zero Dawn and stuff like that, where games feel a lot more cluttered. Not necessarily that, because they can have a lot more assets on screen. They can have a lot more character models and NPCs. They can have a lot of guff kind of decorating the place and everything like that. So stuff feels real. It kind of does pull you in. But in a lot of ways, it feels like I'm just sort of visually cluttered. And you really do have to have some sort of disconnect between what is the decor in a scene and what is an actual interactable or a character element. And so games that are first person, like Fallout 4, really do kind of shine with that, because you don't have a character element that you need to pick out of all the rest. The only thing that you have to pick out is enemies amongst the obstacles. But even that, especially in the distance with certain settings and things like that, do feel like it's really easy to lose, like, where am I getting shot from, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And if you have to ask that more often than not when in a shooter game, then maybe the shooter game is poorly defined instead of your eyesight or something like that.
Yeah.
So with the Scorpio development system being like this, I'm worried that developers are going to take that as an excuse to just make these games just overly cluttered. And
they already try to make them overly cluttered. The problem is like good game designers understand that you can't do that, because you still got to be able to see things. And if you can't see and hit your general audience, then there's no need for it. And that's even been a problem with PC gaming, is if you don't have proper scaling for your menu system, there's no point in playing the game, because you can't read it. You can't see nothing. Doesn't matter.
That's true.
So, the 4K gaming, we'll see what happens there. It's kind of a hoopla, but
Hoopla.
yeah. There's some other hoopla, though.
What's that?
Britney Spears.
Okay.
Her Instagram account is being used for malware by Russia.
All right.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
You heard him.
Britney Spears' Instagram account is a malware target. So what
How?
is it?
Why?
A group of Russian hackers
Yeah.
have distributed a malicious Firefox extension which can draft compromised computers into its botnet. The twist, the command and control server pulling the strings on the affected machines, is hidden in plain sight right in Britney Spears' Instagram page. So what ends up happening is the is a hashtag or something is basically a hashtag's put up on, in the text. And because of how the hashtag algorithm is read out to a number, it then kicks to the program to control it for the botnet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it isn't that her account on Instagram is being attacked per se. It's just that is the front end.
That is the messaging service.
On her Instagram?
Yeah. So basically somebody puts a comment to her Instagram, like on one of the things she's posted, and the string from the hashtag is, because each hashtag can be read as a string by a computer. Mm-hmm. Because of Firefox ends up getting read as a string, which executes the attack and controlled by the botnet group. Isn't that amazing?
That is actually quite clever.
Yes.
Yes, I will say that. I mean, interesting choice of Instagram accounts and what have you, but I mean, I can't think of a better way to kind of like hide that and still manage to do something. How did they manage to trace this back? Do we know?
It was a
traffic thing?
Yeah, traffic thing. Security firm found it, basically, because security firms look at everything. They look at traffic and everything else like this. Mm-hmm. And this is a Firefox, shady Firefox extension called HTML encoding 0.3.7, which the security firm discovered on a compromised Swiss website. So they looked into it and found this, and found the botnet, and found that triggers were going out from people's from hashtags or stuff being put in like Twitter comments or Instagram or something. It's just that was one of the ones they found was on Britney Spears' hashtag account. So it makes good news to say Britney Spears' Instagram account is being used as a botnet.
That's funny.
Well, the other thing that's been kind of going on, this like has been a sort of an attack, as it were.
Adam West died.
We've already established this.
Oh,
rest in peace, Adam West. But yes, that is an attack on just the general populace, and everybody needs to fight against death. CD Projekt Red is in the news, notably for their development of Witcher 3 and everything. That what everybody was sort of hoping for is in E3 whether or not they were going to do any kind of reveal on Cyberpunk 2099 or.
Okay.
Weren't they like no?
And they said no, they weren't going to do that. But apparently, some design documents from very early on in the development of the game were stolen / recovered or otherwise discovered, and they are actually being ransomed to CD Projekt Red.
Oh, wow.
Saying, if you don't pay us, then we're going to reveal this aspect of your game. And I think it's more than just design documents. It might actually be a functioning bit of engine code and some game assets and stuff like that.
This sounds like the Half-Life 2 leak where
they do reference that in the news story.
They got a hold of some of the source, put that out there, and it caused Half-Life to go back, have to rewrite so much more of their game, and just correct so many things.
CD Projekt Red, as a representative, has come out and made the statement that they are not going to be paying the ransom. They are working with law enforcement to try and track down these individuals and recover their stuff. But it happens to, and they are operating under the assumption that it will eventually be leaked. But they've already been basically saying, look, this game is in development, has been in development for a very long time. The assets that are in question here are from a very early stage in development and do not in any way represent the content or direction of the video game as it exists currently. So if you do want information about Cyberpunk the game, then you should wait for CD Projekt Red to come out with something. And I mean, you can get this sort of unfinished thing and kind of treat it more as like a thesis or a what do you call it? You can draw speculation off of it, but it's not going to be from any sort of accurate or credible source. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, it's just playing into the game that these people ransoming the assets are wanting to promote, which is that, I don't know. Either way, they're basically saying, don't listen to these idiots. They don't know what they've got.
Well, they got something.
They've got something worthless, really. The only thing is that it's intellectual property that needs to be recovered.
Yeah.
But essentially, it's worthless. It's to the point where CD Projekt was like, we're not going to pay for it. We're like, you stole it. We're going to find you and make sure you get arrested.
So on the other spectrum of leaks, you have Assassin's Creed Origins, which has had like 24 quintillion leaks in regards to it.
There you go. Another game with the word Origins.
Well, who knows? I mean, this one, you're right, that is a trend. But this one's supposed to be taking place in Egypt. And it could be that this is how the Assassin's Creed...
the Assassins in general.
Started. Because if you remember, the original Assassin's Creed game was set in like basically Italy during Leonardo da Vinci's time and everything like that. So that's what, 1400s, something like this. You're talking like 2000 BC. So this kind of makes sense for an Origins type game, even though it says Origins.
The thing with Assassin's Creed is, I mean, you know, the initial attempts with the first 2 or 3 games were impressive because they did push the envelope as far as game design was capable by then. And you can even see they continued to do that with stuff like Black Flag and Unity and Syndicate. They kept on trying to come out with something, take the premise, expand upon it, and make use of the proper technology of the time. That's all very admirable. But Assassin's Creed in general seems to be one of those things, kind of like J.J. Abrams' TV series, where it's just all build up and no payoff when it comes to these kinds of stories. I mean, they do further the plot, but it's just it's like an onion. You know, you keep peeling away the layers, and all you get is just the same thing over and over and over again, until eventually it just goes because you run out of onion. Like,
well, we'll have to see here. I mean, this is the first one that they're breaking from their annual release cycle of Assassin's Creeds. Mm-hmm. So it may reinvigorate the franchise. Assassin's Creed Origins was started development before Unity finished. So it's been in development for quite some time, and it is slated for October 27th. To come out for the PC, PS4, and Xbox One.
Oh, we might have some more news about that then.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's quite possible.
So that's a very solid game showing up at E3.
Here's another one that kind of showed up that I was shocked to see.
What's that?
Bubsy. You remember that name? Either of you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, Bubsy was Accolade's mascot back in the day when you wanted to be a game design company. You had to kind of have a mascot. I mean, Nintendo had Mario, Sega had Sonic, Accolade trying to come out with Bubsy. And they had 2 games and one we don't talk about. So,
yeah.
Of that, the first 2 games weren't exactly coherent, one could say. I mean, you had to read a lot into what exactly was going on, but it was essentially a platformer where you had to go and collect the things, and then you fought a boss and blah.
Did the things.
Bubsy 3D was a nightmare. We don't talk about it. And now there's one called Bubsy: The Woolies Strike Back, has been announced 20 years after the last game. So I have seen some bits of gameplay footage that was revealed. It does look kind of like your 2.5D platformer, so they are going back to the platformer thing.
Good.
They are going back to the float platformer thing because Bubsy is a lynx. What do they call him? A lynx or a bobcat? I think he's Bubsy Bobcat. Bubsy Bobcat floats. He glides like a sugar glider. Something to do with his T-shirt, I think.
All right.
The Woolies are the enemies that you can probably, if you've ever seen the games, you can kind of recall them from like the first 2 games.
Yeah.
And they were one of the major antagonists in Bubsy 3D. But this is, I mean, it got announced as part of the E3 coverage. IGN was covering it on their site. And it was just interesting to see something like that just bubble up all of a sudden and not be crowdfunded.
Yeah. That was weird.
This is an actual developer release. They're not crowdfunding it. They're not kickstarting it. They're just saying, this is the game. We're coming out with a game.
Yep.
Which is refreshing.
It is.
Quite refreshing.
Hopefully it won't be lame.
It's a Bubsy game. I'm sorry. Unless it completely redoes the formula, I'm not going to hold my breath.
You're not going to hold your breath on that one.
Well, speaking of other things I wasn't expecting, Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, is going to be shown at E3. This got leaked and inadvertently got put up on like Amazon shortly.
All right.
So out of Bethesda, I was expecting Quake. I was expecting something with Fallout. Wolfenstein caught me off guard. I did not expect anything for.
Well, I mean, it's an IP and it still does draw interest. And with stuff like Doom and now the Quake Champions thing, which is still in beta.
Yep.
It seems that id and Bethesda and ZeniMax in general are kind of take their strong IP, which is what they've got there, and continue pushing it out there.
Yep.
Wolfenstein didn't exactly leave too bad a taste. The Wolfenstein New Order and Old Blood.
Order. Yeah.
Yeah, like that didn't leave too bad a taste at all. It seemed like a pretty decently put together shooter.
They were.
Yeah. So of course I want to see them continue on with that and see what's more going on with Mr. Blazkowicz. And
Blazkowicz is dead.
Is he?
Yes.
Oh, that's a shame.
Is that the main character from New Order?
Yeah.
He's the main character in Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
Wolfenstein game. Well, actually, technically they've done Wolfenstein games without Blazkowicz before.
True.
Technically.
They did, because you had your Return to Castle Wolfenstein, or the Wolfenstein that nobody talks about.
Yeah.
That's
true.
that was redone, like 2009 Wolfenstein. Some of those were done without.
The one that was like hub based, and you had to find the missions through the map, and the map opened up more the more that the hub map opened up more. And the Nazis were supernaturally.
That's right. He did die in New Order.
Yep.
He did.
Yeah.
So one of the
I didn't finish New Order. I should probably go and do that.
You probably should. I watched my friend play it.
One of the Wolfensteins actually got removed from the store over Steam, and I think it was not Return to Castle Wolfenstein, but I think it was the Wolfenstein reboot, and I have it, but you can't go buy it.
Yeah, I have it too.
I can see where they remove stuff like that just to avoid like diluting people's interests when it's like, I want to go buy the Wolfenstein game. It's one of those things like, back in the day when all you could get was like consoles and, the console discs or the cartridges, and you'd ask some relative for your birthday to get this particular game, such and such, and they get you like the wrong Pokemon or Domino Rally for the Wii or, something, it's one of those like, oh, I picked you up a game because you like games, and it's something god-awful, some shovelware,
Shovelware wasn't as bad of a thing.
Hotel Manager for the DS.
Oh god,
I remember the Hotel Manager game.
Oh man,
that was terrible.
So I do want to go off on this because I think we got a lot to discuss here, in excitement and everything like that. Going back to the mention of like we haven't really heard anything to confirm Borderlands 3, just rumors and everything like that.
Yeah.
The current rumor is that also Hideo Kojima is going to be at E3, but he's not going to be revealing or discussing anything about his current studio's game, Death Stranding.
He's just going to be there.
That they're remaining quiet as far as that game is concerned. They said that they're concentrating on development before they actually do start revealing anything. So this game is still being worked on. It's still in development. All we have is the 2 trailers that we initially saw to say that this game is actually in development. But we don't have any new information thus far, and there's not really any promise of information. However, Kojima will be there with the director of the Metal Gear Solid movie and discussing
starring
that.
The Rock
and he
as Snake.
Probably. That guy's in everything now. But he might actually let some information out. One of the things that I noticed after rewatching the trailer that was kind of interesting to me, while he is actually in the trailer, he is shown there. Guillermo del Toro is not in the credits at the end of the trailer. So it could be that he's just got some sort of conceptual role and is not actually actively part of the development or story writing in any sense thus far. Now that might change. That might have changed. I don't really know. Because I'm going off of a trailer that was revealed, like a year ago, 2 years ago, or something like that?
Yeah, it's been a bit.
It's been a bit.
But Sony is still strong behind Kojima Studios, and they're still working, obviously, because we haven't heard anything. I'd hope that they're working, and that's why we haven't heard anything.
Oh, he's always working.
Mm-hmm.
Hideo Kojima takes time.
It's true.
To perfect what he wants.
But it takes time to print money. Because that's exactly what the Metal Gear Solid series was doing before, for some reason, it got shot in the foot and kicked out the door. And now we've got Metal Gear Survive.
Yeah. And
is that the one with the zombies?
It is.
That's the
so
one.
I've looked at this because it was shown off at the Tokyo Game Show, some playing and everything. And we'll have to see how it is. But basically, the start of it is that it's when Mother Base is being blown up. And so it starts to focus on some of the people that are still on Mother Base that aren't getting off just yet as it's sinking. And they end up getting pulled through a wormhole to this alternate dimension. And this alternate dimension looks like Metal Gear Solid 5 Afghanistan map. But, darker and whatnot. And you got these like creatures in there and other things that come to this alternate world reality. And so they are trying to find their way home to their world. And the only connection between this is the fact that they have those portals, the wormholes.
Mm-hmm.
For your Fulton recovery, you can get the wormhole Fulton recoveries. And so the entire premise of this game is that wormholes basically are real, and it's sucked through Mother Base into this other world.
All right, then.
That was painful
wow,
to
that's
listen to.
wow.
Yeah.
The gameplay trailer had so many down votes.
This is one of those things where like you could be this really respectable author and everything like that, and that's what the Metal Gear Solid series is, like this really respectably written, this really heavily written series, and it's like intricate and goes into a lot of backstory and has this canon to it, and just everything's all like winding around and tied together conspiratorially and everything like that. And then like the Metal Gear Survive sounds like this guy, this writer, whoever was putting this thing together, walked away from his computer and his 13-year-old brother ran in and been like, "Lol, zombies show up, wormholes and shit." Like,
I think of the Family Guy episode where he's like, "Are you even trying anymore? Scary lamp, scary lamp." That's what I think of when I hear this. That sounds terrible, dude.
Yeah.
Well,
This sounds terrible.
So the game premise itself looks fine. Looks really cool. It's getting dumped on because it's called Metal Gear, and it's not a Metal
Gear
game.
Zombie.
It's not a Metal Gear game per se. I mean, the fact you can go out. You have the stealth mechanics and whatnot like that. You can take down these creatures. You can shoot them. You have to gather stuff and everything. It's like playing a modded version of Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. And that's exactly what it looks like. You can build base defenses and everything. You have objectives and everything. And it's a team of 4, so you are co-op playing it.
It is really old hat these days, and that's kind of like, I'm kind of glad that it's getting to that point where if you can't figure out what to do with a premise, if you can't figure out what to do with a game, then it's throw zombies at it. Unless it's a game that's like entirely designed around zombies, and it's throw more zombies at it for some reason.
Right.
But we had that with like, there's a Call of Duty zombie thing.
The one that's coming out soon.
Borderlands, the original Borderlands had a zombie thing. That is the first, last, and only time they ever tried to do anything with zombies. Other than that, all the other DLC has been wildly creative and entertaining from what I've seen. We've got, what other things threw zombies at it? Red Dead Redemption got a zombie thing.
Yes, it did.
I mean, it seems like, that's just code for we don't know what else. Zombies.
Yeah. Let's print some money. Zombies.
Yeah. It's a cash in.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. Like I mean, it's already very obvious that Konami is trying to pull out of game development in general and kind of just rest on its IP and do something else. The only thing that's been kind of interesting, and I don't even know how related Konami is to this, is the Castlevania TV series that's coming out on Netflix.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Looks like an anime.
It is. Well, it's an anime, but it's written by, it's at least partly written, if not fully written, by a favorite author of mine, Warren Ellis, who is also probably more well known for his earlier comic series of Transmetropolitan, or his work with Marvel and the Marvel Universe. He's also, cinematically, he's done movies like, he was responsible for writing the series that inspired Red, Retired and Extremely Dangerous.
That was a good movie.
But he wasn't involved with the second one.
That was an alright one.
And then, but this is the guy who's, once again, it's like Kojima. He just never stops working. He's a prolific writer, always coming out with something new or interesting or different. And to see this kind of thing where Castlevania, Konami, making some transition.
I'm still going to watch it, though.
It seems interesting enough. I'm interested to check it out and see. I've been thinking maybe that might be some anime coverage that we could come back with. Once more is there. It was like, in general, like right now as we're recording the show, E3 is going on.
Yeah, and that's making it very hard.
Yeah, so we're trying to keep up with some live updates and stuff that's coming out. Currently, the ones that seem to be garnering a lot of attention is right now is BioWare has really revealed their done the reveal trailer for their new project Anthem.
Yeah,
which from the trailer kind of looks like a cross between Fallout and Horizon Zero Dawn, but I don't want to make that. I mean, that's right now that's speculation and assumption from a reveal trailer and no real gameplay or anything like that.
But that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to speculate. That's how things work nowadays.
Hey, look, it looks semi-apocalyptic, exploration-based with some sort of ability. Like there's a neat-looking suit in it.
So No Man's Sky.
I mean, yeah, we were excited about No Man's Sky too.
Yeah.
The other one is developer Don't Nod is back there at E3 after their runaway series Life is Strange and their.
Isn't that just finishing up finally? Like the final chapter of it's come out?
Yeah, the final chapter has come out. They've been pushing out absolutely everything as an all-encompassed thing. I played the first chapter and I have to tell you I was intrigued. I would definitely want to check out more, and so I'm kind of glad I picked up the rest of it. So I'll probably be getting more on that. But Remember Me was also a Don't Nod thing.
That was a good game.
That was quite interesting. Yeah, I actually do have to go back and play that some more.
Don't think I played that one.
It's good. I like the world building in it. So now their new thing is Vampire, Vampyr. Vampire. The blurb here is England, early 20th century, ravaged by the Spanish flu. London is paralyzed by the epidemic, violence and fear. It's become a ghost town, completely disorganized, and only the mad, the desperate, and the unlucky dare step outside, where they are exposed to the most elusive predators in the United Kingdom, vampires.
I was hoping this would be like a Muppet game. Vampire.
Yeah, and we should really stop. I mean, I'm not making any assumptions to how they're handling it here, but really, vampires in a video game is just code for sex zombies, because that's exactly what it's like.
Sex zombies.
Yeah, that's what vampires have become in this day and age.
But succubus are different than vampires.
No, well, succubi aren't zombies.
But
they're demons.
But I thought the succubus were the sex zombies.
No, succubi are sex demons.
Oh, sex demons.
Yeah, succubi and incubi are sex demons.
Okay.
But vampires are apparently they stopped being this sort of predatory kind of thing and just became more about these like unnaturally alluring predatory. I don't know.
Sex zombies.
Right now, this seems just basically like an agency. I don't know if you play a vampire, which would be the interesting thing, or if you're just fighting against vampires, which would be the less interesting but safer.
You're probably
going
to be fighting against vampires.
I haven't seen much in the reveal information or anything like that, but with stuff behind them like Life is Strange and Remember Me, I'm interested to see what kind of thing they decide to do as far as world building and story development, and see if if this sort of early development kind of transfers into whatever it is they're trying to do here. Now they are billing it under action RPG.
Okay. Action RPG.
Yeah.
Sex zombies.
Sex zombies.
Sex zombies.
You heard it here, folks.
Yep,
Vampire is sex zombies.
Vampire.
These are the jokes, folks.
This almost sounds like a BioWare game.
Well, BioWare is already doing Anthem, so maybe they.
What?
Yeah.
So, sex shepherd, vampire, zombie confirmed.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, that's BioWare's doing Anthem,
and you'll need a Windows Live account to play
Vampire. This is a weird thing. Maybe they mixed up the announces. Maybe it's Don't Nod's doing Anthem and BioWare's doing Vampire.
My head hurts.
Yeah, my head hurts too.
I don't know where that went.
Let's see.
Hashtag sex zombies.
Sex zombies.
If you've watched this far, hashtag sex zombies.
Yeah, down in the comments, guys.
If you reached this far,
come on.
Indeed.
See, there's some bullshit here, some sort of clickbaity article.
So something else that cropped up, and this is not necessarily E3 related, but apparently Blizzard is looking for more people for a quote-unquote unannounced shooter. So we're a year into Overwatch, and not Vampire, god damn it.
And sex zombies.
Blizzard's posting new job openings on its career website that make it sound like it's working on a new shooter.
Cool.
So it's either they are working, all three are listed under unannounced project and are based at Blizzard's HQ in Irvine, California.
I don't know about this. I mean, it's interesting enough, but I mean, these things kind of get made and disbanded over and over and over again, especially in a big house development place like Blizzard, where they're probably working on 20 different things and just seeing what sticks, what actually gets legs. So a shooter, I could see them kind of doing some sort of story-based shooter, some sort of actually first-person or maybe squad-based shooter, as opposed to the Overwatch thing, which is sort of just a arcadey team kind of thing.
Well, so here's the thing. There's one of the things that Overwatch has been struggling with is the competitive environment.
Not very competitive.
The true pro esports people, because of the the hit rates and things like that, the net code, they've had a lot of issues there with all that. So sure, there's competitiveness, but there are plenty of times that people are griping because of it just not being. There's a fudge factor to Overwatch. Is what makes Overwatch fun for the majority of people, is that fudge factor with your shooting and everything else. Now, if they are working on trying to make something like an actual real competitive, game for esports, they will have to end up working on something different than Overwatch that is going to have a more highly skilled, high-tuned accuracy in it.
That does make a lot of sense. Like a competitive esports game like CSGO is really about the precision and the twitch, the reaction time. Like it's also familiarity with the gaming field. Hence, like maps like Dust 2 being retired because they're the map that everybody knows. They already know all the exploits, the weaknesses. They know that you can stat at CT spawn and throw a Molotov in the right place and take out anybody who's pushing A.
Yeah.
If that made any sense at all, okay. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm talking about. But then a competitive game like a MOBA, like Dota or League or Heroes of the Storm?
Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah. These ones are more about like player dynamic, team dynamic, understanding the character that you're playing and how to progress that further, knowing how to play the character that you're playing. And the reason these are competitive is because it's emphasis on the team dynamic and not really a reaction time or a precision kind of thing. It's knowing where to be and what to do when you get there.
Yeah.
That's what's important. Overwatch has this sort of cartoonish feel to it. It doesn't really feel like it's a competitive game. It feels like you're fighting against a team. There is actually a competition going on. But as esports, like people doing this professionally, I don't really buy it.
They do,
but there's big gripes in that community because of the fact that there's not this great amount of precision. There's, like I said, there's a fudge factor. Usually it all comes down to the net code. There's a little bit of spray and pray with your weapons, and then that's still kind of
there was some mention about that with the current Quake Champions beta. Apparently they changed something with the net code that completely killed the community because they went with this infamous net code for being like very unstable and difficult to deal with, and so queue times went from like 10 to 30 seconds to like 5 minutes plus. Because A, the net code was horrible, and B, the community bagged out. Like, they didn't want to have anything to do with it.
Yeah, because it was not precise. It allowed a fudge factor.
Yeah.
And a fudge factor you can't have in esports. And that was one of the great things about playing the original Quake 3 arena was there was not this fudge factor when you were using a railgun. It was like you either hit or you miss. And also that's another thing with the Overwatch, hitboxes. Hitboxes are a huge issue there too.
Yeah.
Like the head hitbox for Overwatch is a lot greater than your competitive shooters. So the hitbox thing is another reason why Blizzard might be looking at actually setting up another team based off of their experience with Overwatch to develop something that's more esports centric.
So you're saying that it's easier to get headshots in Overwatch?
Yep.
It is. It quite actually is. Yes.
It is.
So just a quick recap. I did find a list here of games that you can kind of reasonably count on not hearing about for this year's E3 coverage. So that way you don't have to like watch and keep your hopes up. Has been confirmed by Halo community manager Brian Gerard on a Reddit post. Halo 6 won't appear in E3.
People still care about Halo?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Rockstar has delayed Red Dead Redemption 2 until next year.
Yeah,
so,
that sucks.
But we don't really hear much from Rockstar at all at E3, so we might not hear anything.
Just
even
call
next
it
year.
what is called Grand Theft Auto on Horse.
Well, Grand Theft Horse.
Grand Theft Horse.
The Shenmue 3. Am I saying that right? Shenmue?
Shenmue. Yeah.
Yeah, Shenmue. So Shenmue 3 developer EastNet announced in May that the game won't be at E3 this year.
Cool.
Beyond Good and Evil creator Michael Ansel has confirmed that the sequel won't be at E3 this year as well. Don't Nod has said that a sequel to Life is Strange has been announced, but is confirmed that we won't hear anything about it at this E3.
Well, no, because they just finished up.
They just finished it. Yeah, they want to give people a chance to do that. VR developer Oculus has said that they will not be showing off their tech at E3 either.
No, that's because HTC knows what they're doing.
Basically. And it could be that Oculus is still kind of embroiled in that whole
they are
patents, whatever, intellectual property,
with
whatever.
ZeniMax.
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah, there's another round of that going on, too, for that lawsuit.
So, definitely, these are things that you should probably, if that's what you're interested in hearing about, don't watch E3. You're not going to hear anything. But otherwise, I think that's enough unless I'm just going to continue sitting here and scanning the live coverage.
No, looks like we're good.
Yeah. So, seems good.
Yeah, I don't think we have too much else. I'm sure somebody will correct us, but
correction.
But so far they haven't.
Yep.
That's because they don't watch this all the way to the end or really comment too much. But the comments we do get, we do appreciate.
Yep.
Definitely you appreciate the comments.
We appreciate the comments. We appreciate the views, of course. We appreciate the subscribers and the upvotes. Any kind of feedback is always welcome, even if it's just, your hair is funny. something like that.
Yeah, my hair is kind of funny.
Yeah, it's haircut weekend for I think all of us.
Yeah, we all need a haircut.
But so you can catch this on iTunes and on Google Play Music in audio format for those people who like to just listen to us.
Yep.
You're going to be able to catch us in video format on VidMe and YouTube. Mm-hmm. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. And if you do subscribe to us on VidMe, which is different than YouTube.
Yeah, you're actually paying at that point.
Yeah, $2 a month gets your name into an end card that we put at the end of each of these shows and on some of our other videos too. And $2 can help go a long way towards helping us get better tech or improving our things. And we do appreciate the support.
Definitely. Thank you to all of our subscribers.
Yep.
Yep.
And we will see you next time.
Take care.
Bye-bye now. Bye-bye now.
You know,
That's
so
a lot.
that's $600 and it comes within a price range that's competitive with the Ryzen processors at that point. But it's a whole new socket, you know, so
You'd have to get a whole new motherboard.
Yeah. And so these are basically what's kind of replacing like the